Okay, let's talk about movements. So, my son has, Down syndrome, and having, most children when they're born or whatever, they start developing naturally on their own, like different movements, such as the crawling motion. They kind of just start naturally, doing those kind of things, or using their hands, throwing them out in front of them when they fall. But to someone who's born with, Downs or autism or things like that, that's not going to come naturally to them. They need help with those movements. And so my Milton, my son, if he fell, he would fall flat on his face. He didn't have the muscle memory or anything, the ability to be able to just, our natural action is throw our hands out in front of us when we fall forward. But Milton didn't have that reaction at all, zero. So he had to be taught that reaction. So when I started taking him to neurotherapy, he started teaching Milton how to fall safely. And it was amazing, because the first time Milton had a terrible fall was at school. He was in his walker, and his walker hit a crack in the sidewalk, and he went face forward, scraped up his nose, and it was so sad, right? But he didn't know to throw out his hands. But then we started taking him to therapy, and we literally would he would kind of have him be sitting on the ground, and then kind of pushing him a little bit, and then grabbing his hands and throwing his hands out. So he gave him that muscle memory by teaching him that, and would do it over and over. And then eventually got to the point where I was practicing with him at home. He'd be sitting on the couch, and I'd push him over, on the couch where it was safe, where it was like a game. We make it into a game where I was kind of just shove him over, and he would giggle and get back up, and then I'd shove him over again and giggle and get back up. And finally, because of the therapy, he got to a point where he was throwing out his hands every time he got pushed over. And so it was a silly game, but it was teaching him muscle memory, that movement he needed in order to save himself from getting hurt by falling. And I think about my daughter. She, she's my fourth. I had to think for a second. My fourth oldest. She got coddled a little bit more than the rest. Because I was so tired. I just didn't have any energy to teach this poor girl basics that I had already taught my other children, because I was still breastfeeding her when I got pregnant with Milton, and Milton was, took a lot. He was a lot because of all the doctor's appointments and then the different things and everything that's involved. So poor girl kind of got, didn't get taught the things, or she didn't get that, focused one-on-one that all the other ones got. So there's a lot of things I don't know if you've ever been afraid. She all the time would crawl up to places that she couldn't get down from. All the time. She was a crawler. She crawled up, she couldn't get down, and I'm just like, darling, don't crawl up there if you can't get down. And she's just at first I would just do the easy way, and I would just get her down, and I'm like, all right, let's just get you down. So I'd get her down. But then I got to a point where I'm like, no, what am I doing? I'm bad habit. She needs to learn these movements. And so I would teach her instead. She'd be terrified, right? If she crawled up on the bunk bed and she couldn't get down from the bunk bed, I'd say, okay, crawl one leg over, and I would guide her legs over to find, the ladder, and then her foot, and then I kept my hand on her back. All right, I've got you. I won't let you fall. Trust your body. Trust that you know what you're doing. And I give her that confidence to be able to get down, so she could get down. Then it became no problem, right? Up and down. And another time she crawled up into a tree. She couldn't get down, and I'm like, I could see how she could get down, but she was too afraid. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna just get you down. You got up there, and you've got to be able. What if I wasn't here? You'd be stuck. So let's teach you not to get stuck. So I helped her, guided her feet and helped her get down and said, okay, now put your hand there, put your hand there. And then once she did that, boom, now she can get in and out of it, no problem, right? She just needed that confidence boost. She just needed the know-how, right? So there's a point to all of this that I'm telling you. So like movement is so vital in our life, like, and with Milton, he has to be taught movements that we naturally know. Walking, he has to like be fully, how to even the muscle memory for that, because his muscles are weak, are very weak, and so they have to be strengthened, and they have to be taught how to move, and all these neurons need to be connected that aren't connected yet. So as we've been doing that, and it's been working, it's been amazing. But like, even if you don't have, a disability, or if you do have a child that does have a disability, or maybe yourself has a disability, literally while crawling around on the floor, or really thinking about the movements that you're doing, or just in life if you have an injury or whatever, when you're doing movement, you think about doing that movement and you do it better. You work on doing that better. Like Scotty Kramer, if you don't know who Scotty Kramer is, look him up on YouTube. He is an amazing young man. Oh my gosh, so inspirational. He got into a horrible accident. He's a professional BMXer, and he ended up, breaking his neck and becoming paralyzed. But he is now able to ride a bike again. And he was able to get on his bike in 10 months after his accident. That's just like crazy. It's a miracle. When he couldn't even move a finger to scratch his nose. Like, he's amazing, right? But then he just kept doing movements. Like, okay, today I can't move my finger, but I'm going to work on it. And then, soon he's moving his finger. And then all of a sudden, he's wiggling his toes. And then he's able to suddenly scratch his nose. You know what I mean? Like, just starting small and working your way up. Movement is so important for our bodies. When we stretch, when we walk, when we sit, when we do these things, like, we think about our bodies and what a miracle they are and how they function. And just really being aware of movement. There is this documentary, if you can find it on YouTube, I highly recommend watching it. I think it's called Move. I think that's all it's called. I'm not sure, but like Movement Move or whatever. And this guy, he literally teaches people how to move better. Like, this guy is doing the documentary on him, and it shows him trying some of the things, like just trying to stand on this what do you call it? Rail. There you go. That's the word. Just standing on it. First, when he gets up on that rail, he's all awkward, right? Just like, it's okay. Let it be awkward. It's fine. Just gonna do better next time. Just think about the movement and how to do it more efficiently. And just like, this guy that does the movement stuff, he will crawl on the ground, but he doesn't just crawl on the ground. He just like he almost glides on the ground, because he thinks about the movement. He thinks about, how can I do the movement better? How can I move my body even better? Because he's just relishing in the miracle of the body and the movement, and he's just so. It's amazing, because it's so healthy for your body to move. Because think about it, when you're sitting at a desk for hours at a time, whether you're gaming, whether you're doing work, or whether you're whatever, you become stagnant and your body becomes stiff. Your fascia becomes all entangled and snarly, and it's terrible, right? But movement helps loosen the fascia, break things up, and just feels good. And this is so good for your entire well-being, which is why yoga is so incredible, because it gets you to move. And I love what my husband says about yoga whenever we're doing yoga. He's just like, the movement is the goal. The pose is the goal. So when you're first doing yoga, if you haven't ever done yoga, and you're like a very tight person like me, like you don't have a lot of flexibility, you're doing yoga, you feel so awkward, it feels so hard, and you're like, I want to do it like they're doing it, you're trying to look like they're looking. No. Slap that away. No. Instead, think about, the movement is the goal. The pose is the goal. I'm not going to look like that when I start unless I'm naturally flexible and naturally good at it, which people sometimes are, and that's okay. And that's okay that I'm not. I'm going to start where I'm comfortable, like in child's pose, for instance. If it's just in child's pose, it's like, how can I do child's pose even better? It's just lying there with your knees tucked up under your chest, right? And your hands either in front of you or behind you or whatever, right? So simple. But then for someone, it might not be that simple. Maybe their knees are bad or they're tight or their back or something. But so the goal is to like get in a position where you're comfortable with it and then start advancing in that position. Start small and let your body just like work with your body, okay? Don't be mad at your body for what it's not doing. Work with your body on what it can do and then work up from there. I'm like, okay, be proud of yourself. I'm proud that I can do this much. And then once you advance and you level up a little bit, I'm proud of my body that we have advanced and we're doing this much. You just keep setting these little goals for yourself, especially if you're someone who has injuries and whatever. So movement is so important, so vital. Movement is so good for our bodies. When you're sitting there at a desk for hours or you're playing games, get up every 10 minutes or so, or just every 20 minutes at least or something, and just stretch. Take a moment to just stretch your hands behind your back and just open up your chest and put your head all the way back, to touch your head, to your back to touch, to your chin to touch your chest, to the sides, ears to the shoulders. Just let your body move. Movement is so important. Make it part of a ritual every day. Even when you're just walking, how can I walk better? How can I improve my posture, right? Just like hold your head up a little higher. Think a little stronger. Walk with energy. Like there's these times, have you ever walked in sand and you're already tired and you walk in sand, you're like, I can't wait to get off the sand. I feel like I'm trudging when I'm walking on sand, and this energy, it's just like, So move with energy. Think about it. Be intentional about your movements. Be very intentional. So like when you're moving and you're feeling sluggish, it's like, okay, instead of having that sluggish attitude, instead of be like, I'm having a relaxed walk. I'm feeling tired, and that's okay. But I'm going to, instead of trying to force myself to, walk and you feel like you're trudging, just glide. Say, we're gliding now. We're just easing into every movement that I'm doing and taking our time with it, and that's okay, right? All right. Don't forget to breathe too. Deep breaths. And just let movement be. And sometimes when you're sitting, just think, how can I sit here more efficiently? Like, I know this maybe even sounds silly, but seriously, this is so good. How can my posture be better? Being aware of your body and how it's feeling. Like, communicate with your body. It's so important. Okay. Hopefully this inspired you to do something, make a little bit of a change, or even let some guilt go if you're feeling a little guilty about how life is going right now and where you're at with you and your body. Let all that guilt go and just work with your body, okay? Whatever it is. Maybe you're wanting to lose weight and you're feeling, heavy with all your weight or whatever. Or you're feeling guilty about what you're not doing. Well, stop it. Stop judging yourself. Stop it. That's not gonna help, okay? It's not. So let's get rid of all that guilt and be proud of your body on what it's doing and where it's at right now. And every day make little progresses. Make little progresses towards your big goal, and be proud of yourself for every little progress that you accomplish. Okay? All right. This was the message I felt like I needed to share today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. As always, do your own research, use common sense, and happy healing to you.